Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a game definitely for a certain type of player. Now, I very much so happen to be exactly that type of player. I think the best thing about this game is really just how well done it is, how it pulls off the specific things you might be looking for in a type of game like this. And, I'm just talking about what I love here, story time. I am kind of predisposed to like this type of game because I feel very grateful. Like, I call it the tail end of like the arcades period. Like, I was a 90s kid, right? And towards that, arcades started to fizzle out, at least where I lived in New York. And I'm really happy that I got to experience a little bit of it. I got to really understand the idea, the act of going to an arcade and getting wrapped up in a lot of these games before it really truly finally died off. Granted, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so I didn't get to experience like the height of it, but I got some of it, and that taste has really stuck with me, and it's led me to kind of really appreciate certain games. While I'm not this super hardcore guy who's gonna tell you the ins and outs of a Street Fighter or anything like that, I loved blasting stuff in that old Terminator game, the original Time Crisis. I loved the Simpsons arcade game. I absolutely loved playing that with people. The X-Men arcade game and playing as Colossus was like the greatest thrill for me as a child. And then of course, the Ninja Turtles also fall into that conversation. From arcade games to a lot of the classic games like on NES and stuff, they got a big pedigree there, coupled with the fact that like I was just into that. The show I think started in like 87 or 88, but I had caught on to it. I had some of the tapes. Then the movie was a smash hit, and that movie I think actually still holds up. It's really incredible. I watched it like a year ago. That movie is wild. So while, to be honest, I'm not the most like diehard, like super duper read every single comic Ninja Turtles fan, and I'm also not super deep in the arcade scene where I know the ins and outs of like Galaga or Centipede or anything like that, games like Shredder's Revenge really appeal to me, and they don't have to go too hard, Like, it doesn't overly do the nostalgia thing. I mentioned this in the Game Ranks Before You Buy video. I'm trying not to repeat myself, but the fact that it's not just like, hey, remember Ninja Turtles? No, it just actually just feels like another Ninja Turtles product. It could have come out in 1996. It could have come out 10 years ago. It could have came out now. It does some really cool special things, but it's not like overly pandery. It's just a good arcade brawler experience that is really, really well made. The combat feels really fun. Playing with other people really feels fun. The way you use your special abilities, the way the characters can actually use abilities together. The fact that you just have more. You have a dodge and a double jump that are both like pretty comprehensive and useful, and the ability to store up powers, because I guess like it's because the game isn't designed around specifically trying to get your quarters where it would be more oppressive. This game, while it's still challenging, it just kind of lets you go hog wild and have some fucking cool Ninja Turtles battles. You got 2 different modes. You got couch co-op, online co-op. You got 16 levels, I think, and about like 2 hours of playthrough. Now, that to some people might not sound like a lot, but like games like this is just like, it's just like what we played, and we play them endlessly. And while I'm not going to play this endlessly, I finished it once, immediately jumped back in again, and I expect to do at least 2 or 3 different playthroughs through arcade mode and on the harder difficulty. And with the game really being, it's technically I think retailing for $25, but I've seen it on sale already on launch day for $20. I've been playing a review copy, but I've been seeing it on sale for $20. I think that's a pretty good value. Now, I also talk about how oftentimes I like being the solo lone wolf player, and I did play some of this by myself, but like I do have a couple of friends, and I did manage to play with them here, and it is really great with friends. I don't always go for these types of like games together with people, couch co-op stuff, but here it hits really, really well. There's just something about like beating a boss together, or when like you're really both starting, or how many player, up to 6 people, how like if you're getting your ass kicked, but you manage to squeak out or get a revive, like it is so satisfying because again, like it's just fun. The combat's great. The feedback, the hits, everything is satisfying. The in-game music is great. Every boss feels different and engaging, and sometimes really challenging, and it's just a good time. Like, it's not as intense as Streets of Rage 4, the other game that this publisher previously published, which I was also really about that. I know like older Streets of Rage fans are 50-50, at least who I've spoken to, but I really dug it. I thought it walked that line between new and old, and this to me has that as well, where like this isn't, a remake or like a sequel to an old Ninja Turtles game. It is its own new thing. It still just plays and feels like an old one while being like butter smooth, high frame rate, stuff like that. I love the enemy types too. I did say that in the Game Ranks video, but like just how they do different variations on the Foot Clan, I think is really, really clever. But also the game just has so much humor in all of its little animations, little things that happen with the enemies, how they slip and fall, how they're introduced, to how your characters do certain things like their taunt move, how they do the special moves together. When you pull those off, it's like, yes! The punk frogs are there, like all these little things that just kind of make you smile and have a good time. And sometimes that's all I fucking want, dude. It also has a Wu-Tang song. I mean, I like hip hop. I like this type of hip hop, but like, so I'm biased, but like, it's also like a good song. Like, it's very good. And then Mike Patton helped do like the theme, the Ninja Turtles theme. Like, that's just cool, an assemblage of cool stuff. It's really simple. I highly recommend it. I immediately bounced off of it and then was like, ooh, like, I want to go back and replay the Scott Pilgrim game because that's like available again. So that's now on my list. But I also got a bone to pick with certain people. I know, me. I don't ever call people out, but I kind of wanted to make a point here with this. We put out the Game Ranks Before You Buy video yesterday. It gets tons of comments from people that just, you know, come from outside and just comment on the video. And there are so many bad takes for games like this. I always forget. I don't usually let negative comments get to me, or at least like I don't involve it in my content. I've been doing this for like 10 years, but I do take video games in general very personally, and sometimes I feel like I gotta defend them, right? So like you have people like this who will just comment being like, why do they keep releasing old games? Or someone else being like, the graphics are terrible. This isn't 2003 anymore, which is also really funny because 2003, more like 1993. Anyway, if you look, you always see shit like that on games like this. And I think it's like just so strange because it is a specific style of thing. There is this thing now with like retro, you know, 16-bit, 8-bit, like all these different styles of games, and they keep making them because people want to play them. And to compare a game like this or a game like Scott Pilgrim or any of the various indie games that embrace these types of styles and compare it to like, why doesn't it look like Gears of War, is the most like insane thing to me. It sounds like peaceful and hippie and zen, but like there's different types of games for everybody. Like, I don't see a new YouTube video about a new football game and go to that video and comment, you guys are still playing football games? Why play a football video game when you can just go outside and play football? Like, I don't do shit like that. What are we doing here? There's definitely like a more eloquent way or more technical way to like debate lord or like own these types of people, but I just go by feeling. And commenting like that or feeling like that about a game like this just doesn't feel right. That's why I'm over here. That's why I have you guys. I think you understand. If you don't and you're shitty, I usually just ignore you. I think the bottom line, I guess, what I can try to get to with that is don't ruin other people's fun. You see so many people say that there are no good video games anymore or gaming is dying, but there are more games releasing now than ever, which means there's a game for everybody. If you only play AAA games, fine. Indie games, multiplayer, there's a game for everybody. You can be cool. I just don't like when people shit on me and my Ninja Turtles games, damn it. But again, circling back, the best thing about Shredder's Revenge is just how reverent it is, how understanding it is of just kind of this whole style of game, really. How it is kind of like a mashup of so many of the other previous Ninja Turtles games we've played, be it from the arcade to Turtles in Time, like all that stuff. How they just took that DNA and then just made a new thing. A humble one. It's not insane. It's not overly pandery. It's just a good video game, good time. And it plays well, it's satisfying, it sounds good, it looks cool, and I had a good time with a friend playing it. So I'm really excited for people to start jumping into it now. It's on all the platforms, and it is on Game Pass, which is pretty tight, you know? Just hop in and try it if you want. If you think 2 hours isn't enough for you, if you're that type of person, you equate like, you know, the hours to value, that's fine. Maybe check it out on a service. So like, if you can't tell, if you are at least somewhat into these types of games, I highly, highly, highly recommend this one. Short, sweet, good, awesome, well done. And now, as some of you guys are jumping into it, I definitely want to know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear what you think about like the nuance of the characters and the little differences between their move sets, from their special attacks and stuff to just their animations and how they move. Also, side note, just like Casey Jones, the character model for him in this one, he looks so cool. Like, it's perfect. Anyway, like, yeah, if you're jumping into this, I want to know what character you're playing as. I want to know what you think of the levels, just a general structure, what else you would like to see. I wouldn't mind if they added stuff. I don't think they're going to, but as just a thing, it's cool. So let me know what you think, but also let's talk about favorite Ninja Turtles. we got to go into that. So I didn't reveal it on the Game Ranks video, but my favorite, especially as I've gotten older, Raphael. So Raph is always been an interesting one to me because he has a little bit more emotional depth. Really, just how he is like the wise guy one, which relatable. Like I always appreciate that. Like he's the one who really actually feels like a New York person. But you know, he's got the wise guy thing, but he's also got a little anger and like a little bit of like, you know, brashness to him. Like it depends on like which interpretation, but he's always had a little bit of like oomph behind him. And then of course, like as a kid, you really like, I still really like Mikey. I feel like Mikey is kind of like my vibe, like skateboard pizza. Like that's where a lot of my how I am today came from. Just that 80s, 90s shit. And like Mikey really embodied that. It was really special. So those are my two picks, really. I know I'm choosing two. That's cheating. But I want to know your character and why in the comments. You can also say Casey Jones. That is a valid answer, and I respect you. So let's talk anything TMNT, Shredder's Revenge in the comments. Like I said, I want to hear from you. If you like what I'm trying to do here, clearly, I'm just yapping. Clicking the like button does help me. I'm just talking about what I love, so thank you. But I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.